involved tremendously well with F&I. So without further ado, tell everybody about yourself, what you do, your company, and again, thank you for joining us today.
Well, no, thank you guys, and it's really good to be here with you guys, and thank you so much for the opportunity, gentlemen. It just is a pleasure and honor to do this with you. So, yeah, just a little bit of
nice meeting you, Todd. I've been looking forward to meeting with you. So I'm welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Gary.
We always find it safer when somebody says it's a pleasure and an honor before we do the show, because after they may have a different opinion. So we'll roll in that direction.
That's great. I love that. No, truly it is, no matter how this turns out. So, no, I just thank you. I mean, I know Mike for a while now, and you, Larry, through different people. So, yeah, it's truly an honor. So I appreciate it so much. Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I've been in the business for just a very short time, about 36 years. And, I've worked my way from the dealership, from being in the dealership to outside the dealership. I've been selling products and services to dealerships for over 30 years and built some really good, strong relationships throughout the country with our clients. And so even from being a direct employee of a third-party administrator and to being, an agent and then back to being an agent later on, it's really good to know that you can build relationships with great guys in the car business and ladies and build those strong relationships, and it just pays off, so it's a win-win-win for everybody. So a little bit is I did start out selling cars in Columbus, Ohio, Dublin, and I worked at an Oldsmobile GMC truck store, and then I went into outside sales working for a company called LML Technologies Leasing Software, and then we were purchased by DealerTrack, and then shortly after that I became an agent, and then I also worked for the third-party administrator, Dealership for Life, doing loyalty and retention programs throughout the country, and then also went to work for PDS and worked my way up in management into the top levels there, and then became an agent again. And it just was kind of cool how the whole thing worked out. I was supporting one of our PDS agents for the last 5 years, and he's a good old country boy from Missouri. And I was like, I think I want to make a change. And so he calls me out of the blue and goes, "Hey, my son and I are praying about this, and we're looking for somebody who's like-minded, who loves Jesus, and can help us grow our business, and we think that's you." And I said, "Man, I think it's me too," because just last week in my quiet time, the Lord was impressing on me that I needed to make a change, to do something different, and become an agent so that he could bless me when he wants to bless us. And so the rest is history. And I started doing that in June. So it's.
Well, I thought you had some strong references, but this guy's got God on his side. I'm nodding to that.
So Todd, I'm 36. So I say I'm 40 years in the industry. Yeah. So 36, you've seen it all. You've seen it all. So you worked with what was it? The guys in Ohio, PDS. So okay, I interviewed with those guys, and they had a strong program. So I knew that program. So now, is it? And I don't want to step over the line. I understand you may be marketing a little bit of United Car Care.
Yeah. So Hamilton Companies is the agency that I work with and who I partnered with, and we have strategic partnership alliances. And Dirk, my partner, he had a couple already, but then when he brought me on, he said, "Hey, I want to expand our breadth here and our growth, basically our purview of what we have." And so I've done that. I've brought some pretty big players to the table. One of those is United Car Care. So the nice thing by doing that is that we have the ability to go into a dealership more so than before and uncover opportunities or areas of opportunity for F&I income development. So there could be some hidden opportunities that dealers aren't even aware of. And we do that through the strategic partnership alliances. And the dealer can say, "Hey, I'm looking for this." And I can say, "Well, I do have something like that. If not, we can develop it for you." But the biggest way that we help them increase their profit is by driving customers to the dealership so they can capture them, and then they can drive them back into sales. And then, of course, they can do that all over again with repeat business. So truly what we do is through basically the scope of all of our companies, our biggest focus is getting the customers to be loyal and therefore they will be retained by the dealership. So a lot of dealers are talking about retention And yeah, United Car Care is one of those guys that we use, one of those partnerships that we use. But the nice thing is about with retention is that you also need to build loyalty. You can retain me for a short time, but if you don't have products, good F&I products, if you don't have a retention program that rewards your customers, and you don't have great customer service because the dealership does their part, then you're not going to actually make the customers loyal to you over time. And this really is a differentiator to the dealership in the marketplace. It sets them apart from everybody else. So yes, those we do have.
Hey, Lair, this guy reminds me of me. And he's a solution provider, and that he's in the dealerships every day. So Todd, I don't know how much you know, but Mike and Larry, I bring the F&I, and Mike is the AI and the marketing, and Larry is the recruiter and trainer.
Yeah.
Boy, I love hearing passionate F&I people talk about it, because when you've learned how to do it correctly and you know where the value brings, well, then the confidence just goes to the moon. And so that's awesome, because that's what I wanted to pick your brain is, what's working, because, for the last 5 years, I've been going out and finding great products and services and finding out if I can trust them and vet them and make sure that I'm comfortable, because without that, you can't bring it to market. So what are you seeing as the low-hanging fruit that dealers will, at least, because they're afraid. They don't want to make a bad decision. They don't want to do anything dumb. They don't want to look bad. Where's the low-hanging fruit that you see is where they're starting to watch?
Hey, before Todd answers, isn't it odd and sad at the same time that dealers constantly look outside the dealership for profit when all the profit's right in the dealership?
It's in the CRM.
Whether it's fixed operations, whether it's the right F&I products, whether it's orphan files, we're constantly looking in the wrong place when all the money's in the dealership. Go ahead,
That's right. Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's true, Larry. It's all right there. But the good news for us, being on the outside, being good partners, is that we have the ability to now help them, to serve them, and help them uncover those profits that are there. It's no different than if I have a repair at my house and I know that the parts are going to cost me $200, and it's going to cost another $200 in labor. I mean, quite frankly, I'm better off. But by the time I buy the parts and do it myself, I might as well just hire it, right, and have it done for me. And it's the same thing with our dealers, our clients, is that hey, we help them save money, but also increase their profits and help them uncover those opportunities that are being missed right now. And the biggest niche, to what Gary was saying, I think the biggest thing is, like you said, is trust. Dealers have to trust you. I mean, I'm sitting at a client right now that I got enrolled in a customer rewards loyalty program 13 years ago. And for all of their stores, for a large dealer group in Kentucky and Tennessee, over 12 stores. And it starts with trust, and it starts with our niche. My niche is being able to go into a dealership, say, hey, what are you doing to retain your customers? And then once I get in there, then I build the trust with the dealer. The dealer gets to know me. I get to know them more. And over time, now they're like, hey, Todd, what else do you have? Can you help me in these other areas? Can you help me in fixed ops? Can you help me bring in recruiting, or bring in more people? Can you help me with training plans? Can you help me with F&I plans? Can you help me in these other areas? And the answer is yes, we can, because we have lots of resources and we have lots of experience. We've been in business for a long time, so hopefully we can do that, right? And so I think the proof in the pudding, the ROI, is in the ROI. When the dealer sees the return on investment after 5 years and 10 years, of being with them, and then of course the building that relationship and knowing that they can trust you with whatever. So we're talking about like reinsurance plans, wealth building, how to accumulate more wealth, how to leave a legacy for their family. I mean, we get into those types of exercises as well. We get deep into the weeds when it comes to that. So to your point, Gary, I think a lot of it starts with trust. And there's a great book out there called Trust. And it's one of those that, I mean, it's a great read, and you obviously, you should pick it up, but it's one that you should definitely read. It can help out in a lot of ways. It's great for business as well.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, bounced off of that, one of the things that I insist on as far as building a partnership, a relationship, the trust, authority, and credibility is starting with the question, do you have documentation of your mission, vision, values that you as the person with the sign on the building, okay,
right,
you understand that because it's your mission, vision, values, but more important, everybody in your organization, from your general manager to the guy that cleans your toilets, they know your mission, vision, values.
Right.
You've all heard of, hey, that team would go through a brick wall for that coaching staff. That's what that means. That's the playbook. So bounced off of what you just said, how many do you find are out there that don't have the mission, vision, values, and they poo-poo it? And immediately I say, this is going to be short-lived.
Yeah, I would say, that it's probably, it's a mix. I don't have quite the percentage.
Sure.
And it also has to deal with, are you dealing with new car franchises or independents? And we deal with both. So we deal with all of them. And I would say on the new car franchise, most of those guys today, I mean, through NADA school or, through 20 groups, most of these guys are pretty dialed in on their mission, their vision. Now, I was just talking about this yesterday with my client that I'm here with, and I was with him basically almost all day. And we had, some really great conversations. And one of those conversations was just that. It's like how to get your people to implement, you cast your vision. Now, how do they carry it out? Here's your mission. How do they carry that out? So that's the biggest hurdle I see is them carrying out the mission, them, being held accountable for what they're supposed to be doing and getting the employees to do it. And it was mentioned on the call this morning that I think it was All Things Carbiz, one of those that said, sometimes you got to cut bait. Sometimes you got to, we let people stay a little bit too long, and that's certainly the case. I mean, you don't want to go down that road, but you want to give them every opportunity to improve as an employee. But sometimes if they're not willing to, then they've got to cut bait. So I would say that on the new car side, it's really, really dialed in, and there are some independent franchises as well that are just as dialed in. So it depends on the.
I was on that call. They were talking about how CarMax let their CEO go.
Correct. Yeah,
like,
that's a pretty big move. And I was going to add too earlier, Gary. The thing that I'm seeing is right now is, and I'm hearing this a lot, and this is over not just the last couple of months. I'm talking the last 2 years or so. I've heard dealers say, hey, we're not getting the level of service that we deserve from our current providers. And that's tough. And that's one thing that has really, helped us out a lot, is that we do what we say we're going to do. We say what we're going to do, and we do it, right? And so that helps that trust level go up. And by the way, that book that I was mentioning, Trust, is by Dr. Henry Cloud. And it's Know When to Give It, Knowing When to Give It, Know When Not to Give Trust. So it's a great, great book. But anyway, I think dealers really want the service, and some companies have gotten away from that. They've gotten away from, they're great on signing a dealer up, saying, hey, thank you for your money every month. But then they never talk to him, never see him. Nothing ever happens after that. So I think that
to your point, Todd, to your point on that, is that COVID gave the field representatives the ability to hide, and they hid. And today, it's back to, no, business can be done. We just need partners that we can rely on to help us execute what we're trying to get done. And and that's, I fell into a little bit of that trap, because it's like, okay, it was COVID, you can't go visit them, so okay, I'm not going to push as hard. But the people who stayed in and worked through it and now you're on the other side and you helped them through it. It was like the stuff that got us through it was being dialed in. It was tightening our technology processes. It was creating our funnels better. And so on the Dealer for Life program, was that a VSC product or is that
It's a software, it's a software program for customer retention and loyalty. It's a software platform, a retention platform that was implemented with dealerships. And so we use, it's actually a private label with Premier Dealer Services. So we use that. That's what we market to our dealers. To me, it's the best mousetrap that any dealer can have to capture more customers. And again,
Well, I was gonna say you were I'm learning all of this kind of technology and marketing because I've always been in the F&I side but not involved. But the gold is in the retention. Yeah. The gold is in the reputation. The goal is into the lifelong because new family members will come through and take the ball and run with it as long as you're in front of the customer base. Larry mentioned it earlier. The dealers, their information, their business is right in their CRM and they're right in their local community. And so your system gave credibility. And so that helped. And so that's where dealers now, the early adapters jumped over the chasm. So you've got more than the early adapters, and then it went right in to an adoption, and then the people that didn't. So those were the things, everybody was kind of laughing years ago because they never connected and they never worked, and the dealers couldn't care less, or the F&I, no one could care less. But with solid reps that stayed the course and built the relationship with the dealer, that proved that this is the way to go. And now, today, you've got everybody talking about AI. If you have clean data in your CRM, you don't need AI to do anything. You market to your people and you treat them nicely, and they will come back. So that's awesome.
Well, and then to add to that, Gary, is that you also reward them. I mean, if you look, sorry.
Did they sell a car?
They're celebrating. They just sold a car. So
okay.
Sorry about that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
hey,
anyway,
that matches up with Larry's dog barking last week.
It does. Yeah, so there's another customer who's going into the rewards and loyalty programs. So, yeah, you got to love that. But anyway, so to add to what you're saying is that, you've got to make sure that that you're, again, treating your customers right, and that you're providing more value for them, and that you're increasing that value add. But back to what you were saying earlier is I remember, you talk about the reps who got used to being in their homes in COVID. Well, as soon as we were released from being in that lockdown, May 1st of that year, I went to the airport and I got on a plane and I flew to California and I met with the dealer face to face, with mask on, right? And but what I realized, I mean, we know this, but what really rang true and actually solidified it was that, hey, this is a belly-to-belly business, right? This is a face-to-face business, and this is what we do. And so you've got to be passionate, I believe, in what you're doing. And when you're passionate about it and you're excited about it, and you know that you're helping dealers increase their profits, and it's just so rewarding. So you got to get, like, I went from a large company, PDS, with a large travel account and being able to fly all over the country to basically being in business for myself and not starting over, but almost starting over. But I didn't have that huge expense account. And so, like, right now, I'm driving wherever I've got to go to help out people who I've got great relationships with, and helping them build their business and retain more customers. So, and you give them, great F&I products, great warranties, extended service contracts, wraps, ancillary products.
Where do you live, Todd? Where do you live?
I live in Dallas, Texas, and
okay.
we're broadcasting this, right? So I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee right now, and I drove out here, right, 2 days. So I'm averaging right now about 300 miles a day. So there's a little bit of driving involved. So it's good.
But you're making more money than an Uber driver that's also put 300 miles in the
Lord, I hope so. Yeah.
But you're feeling welcome into the stores. You're a part of their. You're a part of their family. When you come in, they're happy to see you. They're high-fiving you and thank you for your help and your service.
And there's a point that needs to be noted here. We hear people in the background cheering because they sold a car.
Yeah.
When you go into a retail store, they don't jump up and down and high five when they sold you something. So if we have this kind of enthusiastic reaction when we win, you would figure we do more to win. We do more preparation. We do more follow-up. We do what it takes so we could have the endorphins blow up in our body because we just accomplished something.
Yeah, exactly. That's right, Larry. Yeah, for sure. That's it. You got it.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad to finally catch up to you.
You too.
What could you say to dealers in New England that are looking for a good idea that they could bring into their stores that could be useful going into the end of the year? What's something that you're seeing winning?
Okay, well, this may sound really funny, but there's a program called Battery for Life, and I'm a huge believer in it. And it's kind of a niche product. And
what's the guy's name? He's been working his
Scott Lear.
He's got Key. It doesn't he have Key for Life and Battery for Life, or is it a different one?
No, just Battery for Life.
Okay.
And it's Scott Lear at Dealer Benefit, so you can look it up, dealerbenefit.com. And so that's been a great tool for us, and just to get into a dealership. In fact, there's a dealer group right now, 4-store dealer group in New Jersey that is, that's actually entertaining us. So so they're it's funny that you mentioned the New England states, but yeah, that's one way. And in fact, they said, quote unquote, we need a little bit more juice throughout the winter. And we think that the Battery for Life is not too many people have that. It's something that we can use to market along with, if you have a lifetime powertrain, it's a nice complement to that. Now, even if you don't, though, you can say, hey, on all of our vehicles, you new and pre-owned, you get a lifetime battery for gas. We also, for the cars that are 7 years under 75,000 miles for EVs and hybrids, you also get a Battery for Life. So their EV batteries are covered for life, their hybrid batteries are covered for life, and of course, their ICE vehicles as well.
That's a nice preload, and that's a nice preload. It's a nice marketing. It's a value that consumers can see better. They know They know that they get it in 3 years from AAA in their driveway. But why do I need AAA if I can have it through my dealer?
Yeah, and I have a large dealer group that does about 50% penetration. So 50% of the customers are saying, hey, I don't need this. I can go down and get a battery myself and put it in, right? But the other half of the world, the other 50% are saying, I don't know how to do that. I don't have the time to do that.
It's a value added. Thank you very much. It's a winner. It's another glue. It makes them sticky.
And the increase in the PVR for those dealers is around $300 to $400 increase PVR on average.
It's an easy upgrade. You've surfaced it where most F&I managers are afraid. It was surfaced on the conversation, doing the walkarounds, and then it's served up properly. So when you have a dialed-in dealership, the process just automatically gives good feelings through the F&I cycle, making the customer confident that their decision to say yes is great, especially when they pull into the service drive and it's followed up with, let me see, you have benefits, and that's today. It's the cycles. It's any way that the dealer can drive the cycles back and keep the good feelings going.
Yeah. So, and I will add this too, Gary. I mean, I led off with Battery for Life, but I'll tell you this. Again, the customer retention and loyalty program, if a dealer doesn't have one of those, and I had a dealer say the other day, he goes, well, aren't those getting a little old? I go, well, is American Airlines canceling their rewards program? No. Is Marriott? No. I'm like, they're only what they're doing is they're enhancing their programs. In fact, you've got credit card programs that are coming out with even more incentives to do it. So I think it's a matter of how do we change the rewards program to make it exciting in dealerships that already have it. And then for those who don't have it, they certainly need it because it's one of the only things. You can have great customer service. You can be the Carl Sewell of the world, but you still need a great insurance policy or a mutual fund. You need to invest in your customers, and this is a great way to invest in them to make them loyal. Because look, if I've got more repeats and referrals, it makes a lot of problems go away in fixed ops and in sales, in future sales. I don't
Absolutely.
have to spend money to acquire more customers to get them in my door because I've got that open back door in the dealership where I'm losing customers every single month. Well, with the retention and loyalty program, you close that back door as much as possible so you're retaining 70, 80, almost 90% of your customers. So that's the different. That's what dealers really need is that right there.
Have you seen or have you heard of Jacob Zaks and the Fasten program?
Yes, I'm all for that.
Jacob's a local guy in West Hartford, so I know Jacob from where there's a big Jewish community in West Hartford. So I've known and his product is pretty cool. He's working his butt off with what he's doing.
Yeah, we're working on doing business like with him. We've been in conversations over the last year or so. So yeah,
it's a winner. I mean, it's a win. I mean, it's working in the real estate with what's that? It's called Built. In the real estate, they're collecting everybody's rent on a card and giving them rewards on rent. That's control. You're getting paid every month, and that money's coming in. Those are good, and that is a good loyalty program is a winner. The old stale ones where you were clipping coupons and doing things like that, those are done. Yeah.
I got a question, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring up what we need here in New England is a steak rub.
Oh.
Mike, thank you. Yes.
So bring that side gig up because you're a great entrepreneur, and tell us a little bit about that because
I read about it. I was going to say who's Sydney. So go ahead.
I used to work at Red Hot and Blue. And it was a Tennessee barbecue restaurant that these guys in Tennessee did. But they did Kansas City, the Tennessee barbecue. They did Texas barbecue. And I forget the last one. Oh, yeah, North Carolina with the vinegar sauce.
Yeah, right.
But tell us about your steak rub.
So on the side, I started so the way it started was, so I decided my grandfather had a marinade seasoning that he used for steaks that he passed along to me and my brother. And so anyway, one day I started getting to dry rubs for smoking meats and all that. And I'm like, I wonder if I could create one that I could put on steaks. And so a dry rub. And so I created this. It took me a while. But I put a whole bunch of different spices together and came up with a really good, through trial and error, really good steak seasoning. And it's an all-purpose seasoning. I mean, people use it on steak, on beef, obviously. They use it on pork and chicken. I've got a GM at a Ford store in Cleveland. He puts it on his eggs every morning. Some people put it on, seafood, tofu salad. I mean, they put popcorn. They use it on turkey. I mean, they use it on everything, right? Smoke a brisket, whatever. And ribs. It's awesome. So whatever it's on, it has a different flavor profile. It enhances the flavor of the meat. It tenderizes it, and it just brings out the natural flavors, and it also makes it a lot more tender and juicier, right? So it's an incredible seasoning, and I've been selling for, again, a little over 15 years. And what was really cool, how it kind of got launched, is we had some friends over at our house, and we had dinner, and I served the steaks, and I'm like, man, they're not saying anything. I'm like, is it okay? And the one neighbor, he goes, Todd, he goes, what'd you do to the steak? I go, is it okay? He goes, yeah, man, this is awesome. He goes, what did you do? I go, I put the seasoning on it. He goes, man, you should sell this. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to sell this. And anyway, so they convinced me, and so I started selling it. Well, then our church, we had a men's steak night. So I went to the church, and I said, hey, I have a great way where I think we can get more guys to come to church. Let's have a men's steak night. And the pastor, he said, hey, I said, you can use my seasoning. He goes, well, why don't you cook the steaks? I'm like, oh, okay. And then he goes, well, what's the night going to look like? I said, well, I don't know. We're going to eat steak. He goes, well, no, somebody needs to give a talk. He goes, why don't you give your testimony, tell your story? And so I did, no pressure. Anyway, it grew from 32 guys that first night to, over 175 guys spanning over 12, 13 years. And so then it was just a great hit. And then, of course, I started selling it online and selling it in a couple stores in Oklahoma and Ohio. And So yeah, people love it, and they order for Christmas presents and all kinds of. I mean, all the time they order. Like whenever they get to close to be running out, they're going to order it again. So
That's very,
So whether you want food or it's F&I products, Todd will provide you with exponential growth.
Good segue.
And obviously, Todd, we see how to get a hold of you. Your phone number's down there.
Yeah.
Your email's down there. Obviously, you see this is a quality gentleman who's going to provide you with value, and he's been around long enough that you know what he's representing makes sense and is going to make profits for dealers. So you'd be silly not to reach out and give him a holler, and hopefully you'll be putting a whole lot more miles on your vehicle because everybody's going to be calling you and reaching out to you. It was a pleasure having you. Gary, Mike, any last thoughts before we let this guy go back to steak rubbing and selling great F&I products?
Well, what I look forward to is to continue growing our relationship. Todd sounds like a wonderful person. He's got lots of value to add. So I look forward to learning, and I definitely like to get my hands on some of that steak rub. I use a Lowry seasoned salt and think it's pretty good. So I can imagine what your stuff will do.
Yeah. So most of those real quick, most of those on the market are mainly salt and pepper. Mine is a little bit of that, but a lot of spices that really, again, enhance the flavor of the meat. So
I love it.
There's a big difference.
I love it.
Thank you, guys. Larry, thank you so much. I'm so glad that, and Gary and Mike, that we could do this. And again, I do appreciate it. So yeah, thanks. I'm glad we could connect all of us together. This is super.
Hey, send us a picture of those guys in the showroom for that sale. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that. Okay, you got it.
Safe travels. Have a great weekend. Hey, it's great to partner with you. Let's sell some rub.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks.
Everybody stay healthy. We'll see you
Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy.
All right, blessings.
Love yous.